But honestly, Japanese government is basically high school.
Yeah, it sounds whack.
Yeah, everyone just
They should make a high school anime about Japanese government.
they can't. It would be such a great idea. They
They
can't.
have to.
Maybe the first time we've all been
I think so. It's pretty wild.
Alive?
wild.
It's a party. So many people here. Hooray!
So many voices.
I couldn't hear you just then.
No.
Sometimes if you sign out of the meeting and then come back in, it'll just like put you
Britta?
correctly. So
Britta?
try that you can. But if you want to just treat it like a podcast and listen to us, you can do that too.
Hey, our first listener, Alec, welcome.
So we have
How about now? Yay! I came up. Awesome.
today we're gonna blast through 2 chapters because chapter 8, book 8 is short and nothing really happens. And chapter 9, or book 9, is really exciting because Achilles finally comes back. So we're going
It's been so long since we've seen Achilles.
I know, our protagonist, like, we need to get him back.
Hmm. So
Has
can
he
someone-
been, what's he been doing again? He's like crying a lot, right?
Just pouting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pouting.
He's not even crying. He's just grumpy.
He's just grumpy.
Or to answer your question from earlier, I shaved it by accident. I was trying to line it up, and then it like went real low and just looked out like an old guy.
Was it just like,
had to
whoa?
Yeah, no, it was just more like, oh shit. And then it was like a chin strap, and this, and it looked like I was like gonna go to like Braden's soccer game and like yell at him. And I just couldn't.
So Allison, on the org chart, you're the overviewer. So would you like to give us a recap?
So long?
It has been so long.
Yeah. Was this the one where Ajax and Hector fight
Yes.
for a really long time and nothing happens?
Oh,
All day.
well, I thought I missed something.
Everybody's like, hey, let's pause for a while, the actual war, and have PvP combat for a
Yeah.
whole
It's like, yo, mommy, let's go.
Best anime battle of 1000 BC.
Hector comes up and his like helmet shines really bright, and then Ajax comes up and there's like a star in his eye.
Oh my.
Like the lines shoot
my.
past as he's like they're like staring at each other, and it's really intense.
Bro, that's like playing like a Naruto, like 7 like flashbacks to like the first fight. I love that. I love that. I miss this. Damn.
They like trash talk each other, but then they're also like giving each other presents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
oh
true.
my.
One of them's like, "Here, you can have my jock strap."
Wait, this is in the middle of the battlefield?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they just stuck to each other.
Yeah. Was it like a sword for a jockstrap?
Yeah.
You bad
Jesus.
trade. Not in that moment, bro.
It's
It's a bad trade deal.
It was
Bad trade.
purple. It was purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very
purple
valuable
hair.
jockstrap.
I mean, yeah, sure, but like, bro, like at that moment, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, jockstrap, let's go. The guy's got a sword, like,
And they
yo,
fought all day in it.
You wore it immediately. That's so cute. Dude, they're basically like giving you 2 anniversary presents.
Yeah, they're
That's so-
married now, actually.
They're actually married. Hector
They're
left his wife in the middle of the battlefield. His child crying in the background.
This one is called The Tide of Battle Turns. All right, so we're going to speed through chapter 8. So there's a few things that happen. First of all, Zeus is like, please stop interfering in this war. And then the tide of battle turns. The Trojans they start winning. They get really close to the Greeks' wall that they built overnight. And that's not good. That's basically what happens. So I'm going to give you the highlights here. So from that page, and this starts on 231.
Thank you.
So Zeus summons all the gods to Olympus, and he says, "Hear me, all you gods and goddesses too, as I proclaim what the heart inside me urges. Let no lovely goddess, and no god either, try to fight against my strict decree. All submit to it now, so all the more quickly I can bring this violent business to an end. And any god I catch breaking ranks with us, eager to go and help the Trojans or Achaeans, back he comes to Olympus, whipped by lightning, eternally disgraced. So, please stop interfering. Now, Athena and Hera are like, sounds good. And Athena says, we will keep clear of the war as you command. We'll simply offer the Argives tactics that may save them. So that we'll go down and give them advice, but we won't actually help them.
I'm not kind of interfering. Just a little bit.
A little bit. So Zeus goes down. Zeus goes down to the Gargaron Peak, and he stands there by an altar, and he's going to watch the war, and he's going to interfere, but only him is allowed to interfere.
So we're not gonna interfere.
Seems like a double standard.
Oh, Zeus.
And he does
Where
this
are we? Sorry.
thing where he, right now, well, I'm just speaking through this chapter. You
Oh,
don't
you're
have,
recapping. Okay, sorry, go on.
we're not going to read it all because it's nothing matters.
Nothing matters.
It really doesn't. Like, it's just,
Right on.
so he then holds out these scales, and the scales tip in favor of the Trojans, and he's like, the Trojans are going to win.
Hmm.
And on 233, you get this nice paragraph where it says, and now as the armies clashed at one strategic point, they slammed their shields together, pike scraped pike, with the grappling strength of fighters armed in bronze. And their round shields' bosses pounded hide to hide, and the thunder of struggle roared and rocked the earth. Screams of men and cries of triumph breaking in one breath. Fighters killing, fighters killed, and the ground streamed blood. Very cool. So, Troy is approaching. The Trojans are approaching, and the Achaeans are fighting back, and then Zeus let loose a huge crash of thunder from the mountain where he is, hurling his bolts in a flash against Achaea's armies. The men looked on in horror, and white terror seized them all. So he just starts flinging lightning at the Greeks to make them back up.
Yo, make it right.
So they all run away from the lightning. Except Nestor's horse got hit by lightning. So Nestor's horse, oh no, not lightning. Actually, Nestor's horse got hit by an arrow by Paris. So he's like, I only have one horse. Meh. Diomedes goes.
Paris actually like did something.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. One time he did something.
So Diomedes goes and saves Nestor. It takes a while. And then Diomedes keeps trying to attack Hector because Hector is there. He like runs, 3 times Diomedes is tempted, heart and soul, and 3 times from the crags of Ida, Zeus let loose his thunder. So basically, Diomedes keeps trying to attack Hector, and every time Zeus throws down a lightning bolt to keep him from getting to Hector.
Oh my god.
So they're like, yeah, like we can't do that. Hera is super mad because Zeus is interfering.
Yeah, lightning. How much more can you do?
Yeah. And then Athena is also mad, but she's like, we can't go against Zeus. Zeus is too powerful. And I'm like, all right, yeah. And then Agamemnon shames everyone. He's like, you should fight against them. What are you doing? And he prays to Zeus. And then Zeus he feels for Agamemnon, and he's like, all right, you can win for a little bit, I guess. It's real stupid.
I love this.
So this man named Teucer, who we've never met before, is a Greek. He's fighting against Hector for a little bit. Hector throws a rock at him and hits him in the collarbone.
Do we hear all about his family before he dies?
Yeah, that's pain.
His favorite food as a child.
Yeah. And yeah, so that happens, and then Athena is like, I can't stand this maniac, Hector. Blah. Let him die 1,000 deaths. And then Athena's like, I saved Zeus's son Heracles like 1,000 times, and this is the thanks I get. And so she's a little mad about her dad.
Oh wow.
And then Hera and Athena get into their chariot, and they're ready to go help the Achaeans. And Zeus stops them, basically. He sends a message to them, and they're like, okay, and then they turn back.
Nice.
So Hera and Athena were gonna help, and Zeus is like, I told you no. So they.
And they're like, oh yeah, we forgot.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing.
I told you guys, this chapter doesn't matter. Like, nothing.
Everything's about to happen? Nah.
All filler.
Yeah,
One
this
thing
is
we
fair
get
filler.
that is important is that Zeus reiterates a bit of a prophecy. He says, "Powerful Hector will never quit the fighting, not until swift Achilles rises beside the ships, that day that they battle against the high sterns, pinned in the fatal straits and grappling for the body of Patroclus. So runs the doom of Zeus."
Very
So-
specific props.
Hector's going to fight until Achilles comes back into the war, and they're saying that that's going to happen after they fight over the body of Patroclus, Achilles' boyfriend. That's foreshadowing. Now, Hector is up against the Achaean wall. We're near the end of the chapter now. He says we're going to have fires blazing all night long to keep a watch because we're so close. They might come in and like steal us or whatever, like do a night attack. So we're going to have fires up. And they're so close to the Achaeans that the Achaeans can hear them like talking. Like they're really close. So doing that, that's it. So that was chapter 8. So
So yeah, nothing.
saved you all an hour of nothing.
Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome. So the Trojans are close by the Achaeans. They're like, and Agamemnon is like, all right, I think we need Achilles because this is bad. Like in the morning, they're going to kill us unless we have Achilles. And everyone's like, yeah, whose fault is it that we don't have Achilles? And he's like, okay, so
Yeah.
So they're going to have a council about that. And in this,
I like that.
the embassy to Achilles, and they're going to go and actually talk to Achilles, who we haven't seen in a long, long time. So the Trojans held their watch that night, but not the Achaeans. God sent panic, seized them, comrade of blood-curdling rout. All their best were struck by grief too much to bear, as crosswinds chopped the sea where the fish swam. The north wind and the west wind blasting out of Thrace in a sudden lightning attack, wave on blacker wave, cresting, heaving a tangled mass of seaweed out along the surf. So the Achaeans' hearts were torn inside their chests. Distraught with the rising anguish, Atreus' son went ranging back and forth, commanding heralds to sound out loud and clear and call the men to muster, each by name, but no loud outcry now. The king himself pitched in with the lead heralds, summoning troops. They grouped on the meeting grounds, morale broken. Lord Marshal Agamemnon rose up in their midst, streaming tears like a dark spring running down some desolate rock face, its shaded currents flowing. So with a deep groan, the king addressed his armies.
Friends. Crying?
Cry.
Friends, lords of the Argives, all my captains. Cronus' son has entangled me in madness, blinding ruin. Zeus is a harsh, cruel god. He vowed to me long ago, he bowed his head that I should never embark for home till I had brought the walls of Ilium crashing down. But now I see he only plotted brutal treachery. Now he commands me back to Argos in disgrace, whole regiments of my men destroyed in battle. So it must please his overweening heart. Who knows? Father Zeus has lopped the crowns off of 1,000 cities. True, and Zeus will lop still more. His power is too great. So come, follow my orders, obey me, all your Argives. Cut and run. Sail home to the fatherland we love. We'll never take the broad streets of Troy.
Just imagine the translators being like, "Lop? Are you sure?" Yeah, Lop.
It's not the same speech he gave when he was like trying to convince them all to go home.
Yeah.
He just gave the same speech again, and they're all like, "You've done this already."
And what was that like? What was that like 9 years ago too?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's like, he doesn't ask for Achilles right away. He's like, we should just give up and go home. And really, you think that?
We'll never take the broad streets of Troy, you know?
And now the issue with that logistically, first of all, is that Hector and the Trojans are awake, and they're like, they have the fires going and they're watching the boats. So if they do decide to cut and run, they'll see them and they'll be able to like attack from them. So it's a poor decision. And it's poor also because you have the means, Achilles, you just haven't apologized to him yet, like a real person. And everyone knows that, and they're like, all right. So Diomedes is going to bring that up, I believe. Silence held them all, struck dumb by his orders. A long while they said nothing, spirits dashed. Finally, Diomedes, lord of the war cry, broke forth.
Atreides, I will be the first to oppose you in your folly. Here in assembly, king, where it's the custom. Spare me your anger. My courage. Mine was the first you mocked among the Argives. Branded me a coward, a poor soldier. Yes, well, they know all about that, the Argives young and old. But you, the son of Cronus, with Cronus's twisting ways, gave you gifts by halves. With that royal scepter, the father gave you honor beyond all other men alive, but he never gave you courage, the greatest power of all. Desperate man, so certain are you, the son of Achaea are cowards. Poor soldiers, just because you say so? Desert. If your spirit drives you to sail home, then sail away, my king. The sea lanes are clear. There are your ships of war, crowded down the surf. Those that follow you from Mycenae, your own proud armada, but the rest of the long-haired cans will hold out right here until we've plundered Troy. And they, if they go running home to the land they love, then the two of us, I and Sthenelus here, will fight our way to the fixed doom of Troy. Never forget, we all sailed here with God.
Intense. So he's like, you go home if you want to go home. We're going to stay here and fight like real Greeks.
Like just me and my bro Sthenelus.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, seriously.
So Nestor stands up and he's like, all right, calm down. So here's what we're going to do. We're all going to eat dinner and, decide then. And that takes like a couple pages because Nestor never shuts up. And he has a plan. So here's his plan. No one will offer a better plan than this. The plan I still retain and I've been forming, well, for a long good while now, from the very day that you, my illustrious king, infuriated Achilles. You went and took from his tents the girl Briseis, and not with any applause from us, far from it. I, for one, I urged you against it strenuously, but you gave way to your overbearing anger, disgraced a great man the gods themselves esteem. You seized his gift of honor and keep her still. But even so, late as it is, let us contrive to set all this to rights, to bring him round with gifts of friendship and warm, winning words. So Nestor's like, let's just get Achilles, because if we get Achilles, we'll be fine. We just need Achilles. And Agamemnon, the lord of men, consented quickly.
That's no lie, old man. A full account you give of all my acts of madness. Mad, blind I was. Not even I would deny it. Why, look, that man is worth an entire army. The fighter Zeus holds dear with all his heart. How he exalts him now and mauls Achaea's forces. But since I was blinded, lost in my own inhuman rage, now at last I am bent on setting things to rights. I'll give a priceless ransom paid for friendship. Here, before you all, I'll name in full the splendid gifts I offer. 7 tripods never touched by fire, 10 bars of gold, 20 burnished cauldrons, 12 massive stallions, racers who earned me trophies with their speed. He is no poor man who owns what they have won, not strapped for goods with all that lovely gold. What trophies those high-strung horses carried off for me. 7 women I'll give him, flawless, skilled in crafts, women of Lesbos, the ones I chose, my privilege. That day he captured the Lesbos citadel himself. They outclassed the tribes of women in their beauty. These I will give, and along with them will go the one I took away at first, Briseis' daughter, and I will swear a solemn, binding oath in the bargain. I never mounted her bed, never once made love with her, the natural thing for mankind, men and women joined. I hate him.
He's gotta
No.
go.
He's not. He's
not
canceled.
great.
Yeah, let's for sure cancel Agamemnon. Now, now all these gifts will be handed him at once. But if later the gods allow us to plunder the great city of Priam, let him enter in when we share the spoils, load the holds of his ship with gold and bronze, as much as his heart desires, and choose for his pleasure 20 Trojan women, second only to Argive Helen in their glory. And then, if we can journey home to Achaean Argos, pride of the breasting earth, he'll be my son in marriage. I will even honor him on a par with my Orestes.
That's his son. Yeah.
Orestes, full grown by now, reared in the lap of luxury. 3 daughters are mine in my well-built halls. Chrysothemis and
Oh, nice.
Laodice
Laodice.
and Iphianassa.
Could you imagine that he's forgetting his daughter's names? It's like been 9 years.
Yeah,
He's like, hey, Chris goodbye.
Like very like Trump.
Oh my god.
Then my other kid, Trump Jr., I guess.
Trump Jr. His actual name is like Jerry.
All my daughters, and he may lead away whichever one he likes, with no bride price asked, home to Peleus's house, and I will add a dowry, yes, a magnificent treasure, the likes of which no man has ever offered with his daughter. 7 citadels I will give him, filled with people, Cardamile, Anope, and the grassy slopes of Hire, Pherae, the sacrosanct, Anthea, deep in meadows, rolling Apia, and Pedasus, green with vineyards. All face the sea at the far edge of sandy Pylos, and the men who lived within them, rich in sheep flocks, rich in shambling cattle, will honor him like a god, with hordes of gifts, and beneath his scepter's sway live out his laws in sleek and shining peace. All this I would extend to him if he will end his anger. Let him submit to me. Only the god of death is so relentless. Death submits to no one. So mortals hate him most of all the gods. Let him bow down to me. I am the greater king. I am the elder born. I claim the greater man.
Wow.
I don't like the ending.
He didn't have to end it like that. He's like, I'll give you so much. I'm sorry. I'll give you all this stuff because I'm better than you.
Because I'm better than you.
Could you imagine being
Intense
an actor?
masculinity is powerful.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Could you imagine being an actor or like a storyteller during that time and have to memorize all this like QVC shit where he's like talking about all the shit he has, or he can sell you for like 30 minutes?
You'll give him popsicles.
What?
All of this and popsicle.
Popsicle.
That was the one thing I was missing.
Yeah. No, they forgot to translate that part.
The one thing that is, I mean, the one thing that I think is the most weird is that he claims he's never slept with Briseis, which I don't believe, like, considering she's been there for, I don't know, a long time now, and he specifically took her because she was beautiful to be one of his war wives. So I don't know. But in a rethinking of this book called, a feminist retelling of this book from Briseis' point of view, it interprets that line by saying that Agamemnon was just into anal sex. So they never had, like, yeah.
Wait, so that doesn't count?
Have to ask the Greeks.
Yeah.
That's how, like, this line can make sense. So, like, they were having sex, just not, like, in the way that they'd expect, I guess. So, I don't know. But it's a weird line, and I don't think it's true. But whatever you say, Agamemnon. Like he should have had this revelation much sooner. Like a lot of people died because Agamemnon's an idiot. But
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh man.
So Nestor, the noble charioteer, embraced his offer. Oh, Allison's gone now. He has to go. That's okay.
Generous Marshal Atreides, Lord of men Agamemnon. No one could underrate these gifts of yours, not now. The treasure trove you offer, Prince Achilles. Come, we'll send a detail of picked men. They'll go to Achilles' tent with all good speed. Quick, whomever my eye will light on in review. The mission's theirs. Oh, the mission's theirs. And old Phoenix first. Zeus loves the man, so let him lead the way. Then giant Ajax and tactful royal Odysseus. Heralds, Odious and Eurybates, you escort them. Water for their hands, a reverent silence now, a prayer to Zeus. Perhaps he'll show us mercy.
Right. So he's like, all right, Phoenix should go. Phoenix was Achilles' like father figure in a way, and we hear all about that in a minute. Odysseus can go, Ajax can go, just some of Achilles' friends should go, and then Odious and Eurybates can like escort these other men there.
The buddy cop squad.
So Agamemnon is not even going to apologize himself. They're sending people to do it for him, like he's breaking up with someone in middle school.
Classic.
That sounds spot on.
Yeah.
But also giving him all of his stuff. Very weird.
Yeah, it is. All right, so they all get ready over the next paragraph. And then Nestor gives them all orders. His main order is try hard now, bring him round, invincible Achilles. So they're going to try to do that. So Ajax and Odysseus and everyone else made their way at once where the battle lines of breakers crashed and drag, praying hard to the god who moves and shakes the earth that they might bring the proud heart of Achilles round with speed and ease. Reaching the Myrmidon shelters and their ships, they found him there, Achilles, delighting his heart now, plucking strong and clear on the fine lyre, beautifully carved, its silver bridge set firm. He won from the spoils when he razed Eton city. Achilles was lifting his spirits with it now, singing the famous deeds of fighting heroes. Across from him, Patroclus sat alone, in silence, waiting for Achilles' song to finish with his song. And on they came with good Odysseus in the lead. And the envoys stood before him. Achilles, startled, sprang to his feet, the lyre still in his hands, leaving the seat where he had sat in peace. And seeing the men, Patroclus rose up too. Patroclus. It's really Patroclus, but I can't get it in my head. Whatever.
Patroclus.
As the famous runner called and waved them on.
Welcome! Look, dear friends have come our way. I must be sorely needed now, my dearest friends and all the Achaean armies, even in my anger.
Achilles put his on right away.
Oh my god.
So Prince Achilles hailed and led them in, sat them down on settles with purple carpets, and quickly told Patroclus, standing by,
Come, a bigger wine bowl, son of Menoetius.
Menoetius.
Gonna be mad I didn't remember his father's name. Set it here. Mix stronger wine. A cup for the hands of each guest. Here beneath my roof are the men I love the most.
Oh.
So in this paragraph upcoming, we see that Patroclus is kind of like housekeeping the tent a little bit. Like he is the wine, makes the food, sets the table. He's like house husbanding this
That's
time.
amazing.
Yeah, so he's great, and he's just doing all this. And Achilles is sitting back, talking with his friends. He hasn't seen them in a long time.
Oh my god.
And they're going to eat a big feast and then get down to business, which is usually how the Greeks do it. They eat and enjoy themselves, and then they do whatever they're there to do.
Mm.
He paused. Patroclus obeyed his great friend, who put down a heavy chopping block in the firelight, and across it laid a sheep's chine, a fat goat's and the long back cut of a full-grown pig, marbled with lard. Automedon held the meats, while lordly Achilles carved them into quarters, cut them well into pieces, pierced them with spits, and Patroclus raked the hearth, a man like a god making the fire blaze.
Oh.
Once it had burned down and the flames died away, he scattered the coals and stretched the spitting meats across the embers, raised them onto supports, and sprinkled clean. And why did I just onto supports and sprinkled clean, pure salt?
Nice.
Thank you. As soon as the roasts were done and spread on platters, Patroclus brought the bread, set it out on the board in ample wicker baskets. Achilles served the meat. Then, face to face with his noble guest Odysseus, he took his seat along the farther wall. He told his friend to sacrifice to the gods, and Patroclus threw the first cuts in the fire. They reached out for the good things that lay at hand, and when they had put aside desire for food and drink, Ajax nodded to Phoenix. Odysseus caught the signal, filled his cup, and lifted it toward Achilles, opening with this toast.
Your health, Achilles. We have no lack of handsome feasts. I see that. Either in Agamemnon's hand, the son of Atreus, or here and now in yours. We can all banquet here to our heart's content. But now it is not flowering feast that is on our minds now. No, a stark disaster, too much to bear. Achilles, bred by the gods, that is what we are staring in the face, and we are afraid. All hangs in the balance now, whether we save our bench ships or they're destroyed, unless, of course, you put your fighting power in harness. Those have pitched camp right at our ships and rampart, those brazen Trojans. They and their far-famed allies, thousands of fires blaze throughout their armies. Nothing can stop them now. That's their boast. They'll hurl themselves against our blackest hulls, and the sons of Cronus sends them signs on the right. Zeus's firebolts flashing, and headlong Hector, delirious with his strength, rage, uncontrollability, trusting to Zeus. No fear of man or god, nothing. A powerful, rabid frenzy has him in its grips. Hector prays for the sacred dawn to break at once. He threatens to lop the high horns of our sterns and gut our ships with fire, and all our comrades, pinned against the hulls, panicked by thick smoke, he'll rout and kill in blood. A nightmare. I fear it with all my heart. I fear the gods will carry out his threats, and in the end, it will be our fate to die in Troy, far from the stallion land of Argos. Up with you, now, late as it is, if you want to pull our Argives, our hit armies, clear of the Trojan onslaught. Fail us now? What a grief it will be to you through all the years to come. No remedy, no way to cure the damage once it's done. Come, while there's still time, think hard. How can you fight off the Argives' fatal day? Oh, old friend, surely your father, Peleus, urged you. That day he sent you out of Thea to Agamemnon. My son, victory is what Athena and Hera will give if they so choose. But you hold in check the pound. You hold in check that pound fiery spirit of yours inside your chest. Friendship is much better. Vicious quarrels are deadly. Put an end to them and at once. Your Achaean comrades, young and old, will exalt you all the more. That was your aged father's parting advice. It must have slipped your mind. But now at last, stop, Achilles. Let your heart-devouring anger go. The king will hand you gifts to match his insults, if only you will relent and end your anger.
All right,
so come then. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. He's just gonna list all of the gifts again.
This popsicle.
Yeah, we don't need to hear about the popsicles again. So 261, halfway down the page, Nestor continues. He basically lists everything, and then he says, all this he would extend to you if you would end your anger. But if you still hate Agamemnon all the more, him and his troves of gifts, at least take pity on all our united forces mauled in battle here. They will honor you like a god. Think of the glory you will gather in their eyes. Now you can kill Hector. Seized with murderous frenzy, certain there's not a single fighter his equal. No Achaean brought to Troy in his ships. Now, for once, you can meet the man head on. So, even if you're still mad at Agamemnon, do it for us. We're dying, and do it because you now get to kill Hector. Come on.
Come on.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
the famous runner Achilles rose to his challenge.
Loyal son of Laertes, Odysseus, great tactician. I must say what I have to say straight out. Must tell you how I feel and how all this will end, so you won't crowd around me, one after another, coaxing like a murmuring clutch of doves. I hate that man like the very gates of death, who says one thing but hides another in his heart. I will say it outright. That seems best to me. Will Agamemnon win me over? Not for all the world, nor will all the rest of Achaea's armies. No. What lasting thanks in the long run for warring with our enemies on and on, no end? One and the same lot for the man who hangs back and the man who battles hard. The same honor waits for the coward and the brave. They both go down to death, the fighter who shirks, the one who works to exhaustion. And what's laid up for me, what pittance? Nothing. And after suffering hardships year in, year out, staking my life on the mortal risks of war, like a mother bird hurrying morsels back to her unfledged young. Whatever she can catch, but it's all starvation wages for herself. So for me, many a sleepless night, oh my God, bivouacked? Bivouacked? You know what does that mean?
Yeah, it's like camped.
Camped? Many a sleepless night I've bivouacked in harness. Day after bloody day I've hacked my passage through, fighting other soldiers to win their wives as prizes. 12 cities of men I've stormed and sacked from shipboard. 11 I claimed by land on the fertile earth of Troy. And from all I dragged off piles of splendid plunder, hauled it away, and always gave the lot to Agamemnon, that son of Atreus, always skulking behind the lines, safe in his fast ships, and he would take it all. He'd parcel out some scraps, but keep the lion's share. Some he'd hand to the lords and kings, prizes of honor, and they hold them still. From me alone, Achilles of all Achaeans, he seizes, he keeps the bride I love. Well, let him bed her now. Enjoy her to the hilt. Why must we battle, Trojans, men of Argos? Why did he muster an army? Icatus here, that son of Atreus. Why in the world, if not for Helen with her loose and lustrous hair? Ooh, roasted. Are they the only men alive who love their wives, those sons of Atreus? Never. Any decent man, a man with sense, loves his own, cares for his own as deeply as I. I loved that woman with all my heart, though I won her like a trophy with my spear. But now that he's torn my honor from my hands, robbed me, lied to me, don't let him try me now. I know him too well. He'll never win me over. No, Odysseus, let him rack his brains with you and the other captains, how to fight the raging fire off the ships. Look, what a mighty piece of work he's done without me. Why, he's erected, oh my God, he's going on for a long time. Should I keep going?
Take a break.
Okay. I mean, I'll keep going. I'm fine. It's almost done. Why he's erected a rampart, driven a trench around it. Broad, enormous, and planted stakes to guard it. No use. He still can't block the power of man killing Hector. No, though as long as I fought on Achaea's lines, Hector had little lust to charge beyond his walls, never ventured beyond the Scaean gates and oak tree. There he stood up to me alone one day, and barely escaped my onslaught. But now, since I have no desire to battle glorious Hector, tomorrow at daybreak, once I have sacrificed to Zeus and all the gods and loaded up my holds and launched out on the breakers, watch, my friend, if you'll take the time and care to set me off, and you will see my squadron sail at dawn, fanning out on the Hellespont that swarms with fish. My crews manning the oarlocks, rowing out with a will, and if the famed god of the earthquake grants us safe passage, the third day out we raise the dark rich soils of Phthia. There lies my wealth, hordes of it, all I left behind when I sailed to Troy on this insane voyage, and still more hordes from here. Gold, ruddy bronze, women sashed and lovely, and gleaming gray iron. And I will haul it home. All I want is plunder, all but my prize of honor. Who gave that prize has snatched it back again. What outrage that high and mighty King Agamemnon, that son of Atreus. Go back and tell him all I say, out in the open too, so other Achaeans can wheel on him in anger if he still hopes, who knows, to deceive some other comrade.
Right, so now you can stop.
Yeah, he's like just roasted him now, right?
Yes.
Gonna go on and on.
Goes off because, yeah, I mean, he's still very mad, obviously. But there's a few points. So point one is he's like, you know, I love Briseis, even though I killed her family and stole her, whatever. But he did that, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years ago. And so they have been living together for this long time. So it does make sense, I suppose, that he may have developed feelings for her. It's hard to judge that. But even if not, so it's like the honor of the thing, the principle of the thing. And of course, you know, he may, you know, enjoy her presence. So, but he's like, whatever. And just goes off on Agamemnon. He hates Agamemnon. He's like, he's awful. He cheated me. He did me wrong, but never again. Never again will he rob me blind with his twisting words. Die and be damned for all I care. And then he goes, his daughter. I will marry no daughter of Agamemnon. Not if she rivaled Aphrodite. No way. No, let her father pitch on some other Argive. Whatever. And then he's like, my dad can get me any woman I want. No wealth is worth my life. Now, the important thing here again, another prophecy is mentioned. Near the middle of 265, he says, Mother, who is goddess Thetis, a sea nymph, Nereid, Mother tells me, the immortal goddess Thetis with her glistening feet, that 2 fates bear me on.
Wait.
What does that mean?
My mom's got these like glistening feet, you know. Let me tell you about her.
He's got to take time out of his conversation to make sure everybody knows his mom's got real nice feet.
Okay.
It's amazing.
All right. Mommy tells me that
I didn't realize Quentin Tarantino directed part of this part of the Iliad.
This part, only this scene.
This page.
What do you
Walks up on the feet, like, there we go. Ding. All right, go back.
2 fates bear me on to the day of death. So his 2 roads diverge in a yellow wood. There's 2 options for him. If I hold out here and I lay siege to Troy, my journey home is gone. I'll die. But my glory never dies. If I voyage back to the fatherland I love, my pride, my glory dies. True, but the life that's left me will be long. The stroke of death will not come on me quickly. So Achilles is dealing with his anger problems. The other main thing he's dealing with is glory or life. Like, do I choose to go out in a blaze of glory, be famous forever, or do I choose to go home and have a quiet farming life, you know, ruling my tiny little village? What's the choice? So he came to Troy to begin with for glory, and he chose way back then. He's like, I'll die, I'll sack Troy, it'll take like a month, and then I'll die, I guess, whatever. But I'll be remembered forever. Now, he's kind of reconsidering that. And this is kind of a bluff. Like, it's kind of a bluff, but kind of not. He's like, I'm just going to go home. Tired of that. Yeah. So, one thing more. To the rest, I'll pass on this advice. Sail home now, Achilles says. You will never set your eyes on the day of doom that topples looming Troy. Thundering Zeus has spread his hands above her. Her armies have taken heart. So go back, the great men of Achaea. You report my message, since this is the privilege of senior chiefs. Let them work out a better plan of action. Use their imaginations now to save the ships and Achaea's armies pressed to their hollow hulls. This maneuver will never work for them, this scheme they have hatched for the moment as I raged on and on. But Phoenix, this guy who's also here, can stay. Then the rest of the night with us, and he can voyage home in the ships with me to the fatherland we love tomorrow at dawn. But only if Phoenix wishes. I will never force the man to go.
If you want.
Sounds like love to me.
Yeah.
Like, screw you. Phoenix are cool.
You can stay if you want, whatever. It's up to you. I respect your choices.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. I won't force you.
Good old Phoenix.
So he stopped, and a stunned silence seized them all, struck dumb. Achilles' ringing denials overwhelmed them so. At last Phoenix, the old charioteer, spoke out. He burst into tears, terrified for Achaea's fleet. I'm also going to read this because there's only a few lines we really need, and he talks for 6 pages, so we're going to skip most of it.
Have they not figured out dialogue yet?
No.
Phoenix is really
My
chatty.
turn.
It's like pure monologue forever.
Right.
He's like
So,
silent the whole
cool,
time,
alright.
and then all of a sudden he's like, "This is my time."
So much
Chatting
chat
for 6 pages.
every moment.
Just has a lot of feelings.
Why did he choose Phoenix in particular?
Phoenix was the father figure to Achilles. So he
He's
helped raise Achilles. And he's also here
Mhm.
fighting. So they sent Phoenix because they're like, oh, maybe you can like break through to him. So he's going to try right now. And he says, among many other words, he says this: "Sail home. Is that what you're turning over in your mind, my glorious one, Achilles? Have you no heart at all to fight the gutting fire from the fast trim ships? The spirit inside you is overpowered by anger." And then he tells this story about how, like, his mom begged him as a child to sleep with his father's mistress to, like, cure her desire for old men. That goes on for a little bit, and then
That logic doesn't track.
No, that's pretty bad.
Okay.
and then after he sleeps with his dad's mistress, his dad is like, "Never will I bounce on my knees a son of yours." And then the gods are like, "He will never have children." So when he did get Achilles to raise, he treated him like his own son because he's not able to have children.
That's pretty rough.
"Achilles, I made you my son. But now, Achilles, beat down your mounting fury. It is wrong to have such an iron, ruthless heart. Relent, Achilles. If Agamemnon were not holding out such gifts, I would be the last to tell you, cut your rage to the wind. But now, look, he gives you a trove of treasures. Don't dismiss their appeal." And then he tells a myth about Artemis, which is kind of foreshadowing-ish. So there's this myth about how someone was given a gift. It says, defend your people now. They vowed a princely gift, and he refused them all the more, just like Achilles was doing. And then he ended up in the end saving them anyway, but did not get the prize. So he's like, "Achilles, you should take the prize and help us, because if you don't, you're probably going to end up helping us anyway, but you won't get the prize. Don't do that. Don't let your spirit turn you down that path, dear boy. Now, while the gifts still wait, go out and fight. Go, the Achaeans will honor you like a god." But the swift runner Achilles answered firmly.
Phoenix, old father, bred and loved by the gods, what do I need with honor such as that? I say my honor lies in the great decree of Zeus. That gift will hold me here by the beaked ships as long as the life breath remains inside my chest, and my springing knees will lift me. Another thing, take it to heart, I urge you. Stop confusing my mixed resolve with this weeping and wailing just to serve his pleasure, Atreus' mighty son. It degrades you to curry favor with that man, and I will hate you for it. I who love you. It does you proud to stand by me, my friend, to attack the man who attacks me. Be king on par with me. Take half my honors. These men will carry their message back. But you stay here and spend the night in a soft bed. Then, tomorrow at first light, we will decide whether we will sail home or hold out here.
With that, he gave Patroclus a sharp glance, a quiet nod to pile the bedding deep for Phoenix now, a sign to the rest to think of leaving quickly. Giant Ajax rose to his feet, the son of Telamon, tall as a god, turned and broke his silence. So Ajax says, "Ready, Odysseus? Royal son of Laertes, tactician, come, home we go now. There's no achieving our mission here, I see. Achilles, he's made his own proud spirit so wild in his chest, so savage, not a thought for his comrade's love. He's a hard, ruthless man. Why, any man will accept the blood price paid for a brother murdered, a child done to death, and the murderer lives on in his own country. The man is paid enough, and the injured kinsman curbs his pride, his smoldering, vengeful spirit once he takes the price. You, the gods have planted a cruel, relentless fury in your chest, all for a girl. Just one, and here we offer you 7. Outstanding beauties, that, and a treasure trove besides. Achilles, put some human kindness in your heart. Show respect for your own house. Here we are under your roof, sent for the whole Achaean force. Past all other men, all other Achaean comrades, we long to be your closest, dearest friends. And the swift runner Achilles answered warmly.
Ajax, royal son of Telamon, captain of armies, all well said, after my own heart, or mostly so. But my heart still heaves with rage whenever I call to mind that arrogance of his, how he mortified me right in front of the Argives, that son of Atreus treating me like some vagabond, like some outcast stripped of all my rights. You go back to him and declare my message. I will not think of arming for bloody war again, not till the son of wise King Priam, dazzling Hector, batters all the way to the Myrmidon ships and shelters, slaughtering Argives, gutting the hulls with fire. But round my own black ship and camp this Hector, blazing for battle, will be stopped, I trust, stopped dead in his tracks.
I won't fight until Hector comes to my tent, and then I'll just kill Hector. So he finished, then each man lifting his own two-handled cup, poured it out to the gods, and back they went along the ships, Odysseus in the lead. Gotta pour one out for the homies. Patroclus told his friends and serving women to pile a deep, warm bed for Phoenix, quickly. They obeyed, and spread the bed as he ordered, with fleeces, woolen throws, and soft linen sheets. There the old man lay, awaiting shining dawn, and deep in his well-built lodge Achilles slept, with the woman he brought from Lesbos, Phorbas' daughter, Diomede in all her beauty, sleeping by his side. And over across from him, Patroclus slept, with the sashed and lovely Iphis by his side, whom Prince Achilles gave him the day he took the heights of Skyros, Venus's rocky stronghold. So I think I'm going to stop because I know that I've probably explained it, but I don't think it's made it into the podcast yet. The reason why Achilles and Patroclus, what their relationship is. So Plato, the philosopher, wrote a whole essay explaining not that they're a couple, but that in fact Patroclus is the top.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, yeah. So like this was like a whole society structure in Greece, like older men, Patroclus is meant to be older, would take like they would mentor younger men. And so Achilles was like being mentored by Patroclus, and in that relationship they would also, it would be a sexual relationship as well. So it'd be like mentoring and then loving. So what's happening here is they are still in this relationship, but they're also getting older, and as young men got older, they were expected to find women to have sex with instead of men. So it's complicated, but it is kind of what went on at the time. So when they got here, Achilles was still young. They were still probably up to that. But that's one theory. So there's also evidence to say that Achilles is the older one, and so he would be the mentor and Patroclus would be the mentee. But they're basically, everyone's like, yeah, no, like they were in the sexual relationship. They also had women around all the time. So how it is. Greeks saw sexuality a lot different than we did. More or less everyone acted bisexually. Like they had a lot of same-sex relationships, and it wasn't thought of as weird, but it was thought of as something you grew out of, and it's something you did as kids and like young, and then everyone was expected to get married heterosexually. But it was just very different, basically. So when I say that they're boyfriends, it's like shorthand, basically. They feel a lot of love for each other. They do have a sexual relationship. They're also both sleeping with women at the same time.
It's like a lifelong deal.
Yeah, like Achilles is married to a woman, like, so it's just a lot going on. But basically, whatever path you choose to believe, however their relationship comes together, just know that like they love each other insanely deeply, and that's very important for the end of the book, to just know that super love going on. Yeah, it's like mentor-mentee, sexual relationships and love, like romantic love and just like comrade love. Like there's so much between them, and that's going to become vital. So just keep that in mind, even though they're both have these ladies around. Yeah, they're still in love.
This is like a Yuri on Ice kind of deal.
Yeah.
That's fresh.
Think of it like Yuriana.
Fresh, dude.
Yeah.
It's Victor.
Almost exactly, because it's like mentor-mentee along with one.
Yeah, the mentor-mentee thing freaks me out though, like that power dynamic. I mean, not that it matters for ancient
I'm
Greece.
just saying,
but,
if
like,
that's what gets them going, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it sketches me a lot less than like all of these women who are like just property and getting thrown around.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess if you're gonna
There's
put it
a
on a
lot of
spectrum.
problematic like relationships going on here, but there are
Yeah.
also definitely levels.
Yeah,
Right.
pointing that one out is kind of like rearranging the deck boats of the Titanic. I definitely agree.
The most important thing, like whatever was going on, obviously there's not like a sex scene in the Iliad, so like we don't get like proof of it, but they are in love and they love each other.
What do you mean, obviously?
Yeah, I was just saying. You
Spoilers.
can't build it up, bro. We're talking about soft
Yeah.
beds here, like, yo.
You tell me the family didn't go to the amphitheater to listen
Right,
to a
right.
whole book of sex scenes from some old guy? Like, come on.
Like, Tommy, this is what happens.
Yeah.
But you don't know that there weren't Homeric plays that were the sexies.
Yeah, we are missing quite a
That's very.
We don't have a full canon.
But I feel like a play would make more sense to like a storytelling, though, right? Just like some old guy, just like going on and on.
Especially if the descriptions are as they are here, where it's like,
Yeah,
as the wave crashes over the stones by the sea, he. And I'm gonna not continue.
Caresses his little.
Odysseus and everyone leave Achilles and Patroclus and everyone else, and they go back to Agamemnon's tent.
Eggman.
Comrades leapt to their feet, welcomed them back, and clustering round them, lifted golden cups. One after another pressed them with questions. King Agamemnon, most urgent of all.
Come, tell me, famous Odysseus, Achilles, I just forgot. Achilles, Achilles' pride and glory. Will he fight the fire off the ships, or does he refuse? Does rage still grip his proud, mighty spirit?
And the steady, long-enduring Odysseus replied,
Great Marshal Atrides, Lord of men Agamemnon, that man has no intention of quenching his rage. He is still bursting with anger more than ever. He spurns you, spurns all your gifts. Work out your own defense, he says. You and your captain save the Argive armies and ships. Himself? Achilles threatens tomorrow at first light to haul his well-benched warship out to sea. And what's more, he advised all the rest, sail home now. You will never set your eyes on the day of doom that topples looming Troy. Thundering Zeus will spread his hands above her. Her armies will have taken heart. That's his answer. And here are men to confirm it, fellow envoys. Ajax and two heralds, both clear-headed men. But old Phoenix passes the night in camp as Achilles bids him, so he can voyage home in the ships with him to the fatherland they love, tomorrow at dawn. But only if Phoenix wishes. He will never force the man to go.
everyone's very specific. Like, Phoenix will not be forced to go home. Like, no one cares.
It's like, well, did he force it?
Everyone's like,
Oh,
Phoenix
there
is curious, staying with Achilles. Why are you mentioning this?
the only time consents apparently mattered in ancient Greece.
It matters so much.
Phoenix.
Right.
Yeah, just for Phoenix.
Everyone just likes Phoenix.
Yeah, he's cool. So he
Did you roll it?
silence held them all. For the third time in this chapter, everyone was struck dumb by his story.
Meh.
Odysseus' words still ringing in their ears. Now, if I were there, I would be like, cool, Achilles wants to go home. Agamemnon wants to go home. Let's go home. But that's not what they do.
Right.
Finally,
Wait, because they're both like, both sides, from my understanding, are like, we'll never take the streets of Troy.
yeah.
We'll never take the broad streets of Troy. They repeat endlessly.
So, but Diomedes is the one who's going to keep us all here. He, the Lord of
Oh
the
my God.
war cry, broke forth.
Great Marshal Atrides, Lord of men Agamemnon, if only you'd never begged the dauntless son of Peleus, holding out to Achilles trove on trove of gifts. He's a proud man at the best of times, and now you've only plunged him deeper in his pride. I say, have done with the man. Whether he sails for home or stays on here, he'll fight again in his own good time, whenever the courage in him flares and a god fires his blood. So come, follow my orders, and all of us unite. Go to sleep now, full to your heart's content with food and wine, a soldier's strength and nerve. Then, when the dawn's red fingers shine in all their glory, quickly deploy your chariots and battalions. Agamemnon, out in front of the ships, you spur them on, and you yourself, you fight in the front ranks.
That's not happened before. Agamemnon, Achilles complains he's always in the back, like never actually fighting. So now he's in the front line, which is like, whoa, uh-oh. And Achaea's kings all shouted their assent. Yeah! Stirred by the stallion breaking Diomedes' challenge, pouring cups to the gods, each warlord sought his shelter, and there they spent the night and took the gift of sleep.
Nice, go Diomedes.
So is that like out of spite? Or are they like, no one wants to fight this war, we're going to put you on the front line, Agamemnon, unless you're like a baby?
I mean, yeah, partially that. Secondly, Diomedes, he says he's like, Achilles will fight. Like, this is a bluff. He's gonna fight. He's Achilles. Like, we just have to wait. You made it worse by, like, begging him with these prizes. You, like, you know, annoyed him even more. So, like, it seems like, so you, Agamemnon, for starting this and making it worse, you're gonna be in the front lines. And we are gonna still fight. And everyone's like, yeah, Diomedes, second best. Let's do it.
I like how it's like a pump up speech, and then he's like, now go to sleep.
Good night.
Rest up for the big day tomorrow.
We'll start tomorrow. I think we should make a move to replace the phrase "son of a bitch" with "son of Atreus."
Ooh.
Hey, big moves, big moves.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm in full support of this.
Yeah, I'm a
Great.
fan of that.
Next up, we have, what's the next one called? Marauding Through the Night. Oh, this is the stealth mission, I think, with Diomedes and Odysseus.
Let's see.
How are they gonna stealth with their long monologues and cataloging?
They just stand up in the enemy camp and start orating.
Yeah, pointing stuff out. The fifth tent we passed by was made of ox leather.
The person performing just like stage whispers the whole chapter.
Yeah.
Playing cool.
Oh man.
We have, and then the one after it is called Agamemnon's Day of Glory.
Oh shit.
He's definitely dying. That's definitely sarcastic.
Son of Atreus.
Like.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. What other Greek cuss words do you want? We've got son of Atreus.
Yes. Please write down swear words in the comments.
Yeah.
Just list swear.
So that's how many swear words you know. How many swear words do you know?
This is a swear word.
Yeah. Damn,
Would you have accepted Agamemnon's gifts? Let us know in the comments below.
Maybe we'll send you one. I don't know. Join the raffle.